Deborah Flemming Bradley, and welcome to my space where I empower women to aim high in their lives. Today I'm going to talk to you about my fifth point to prosperity, and that is self-esteem. Self-esteem is confidence in one's own abilities or worth. When I was a little girl, my career life goal was to be a cheerleader. And I have to laugh at that sometimes because I was only 14 years old. But at the time, when I was little and younger, I used to sit by my dad and watch football games. And while he watched the players play, I would watch the cheerleaders on the sideline. And I always said to myself, when I get to high school, I'm going to be a cheerleader. So when I got to high school, I was 14 years old, I was in the 9th grade, and they had cheerleading tryouts for the basketball varsity squad. So I tried out. I was one of 2 freshmen who made the team. I was so excited. And on top of that, I was a flyer. So I was literally on top of the world. You couldn't tell me a thing. It was the most empowering moment in my life. I had fulfilled a lifetime goal at the age of 14, and I was on the top of the world. But what if I told you I wasn't always on top of the world? What if I told you that by the time I got to my senior year, it almost ended in a horrible way? One day I was at cheerleading practice and we were doing stunts. And as we were doing a stunt called a toe touch basket toss, my base team threw me up into the air and I was shooting as high as possible, and I was so excited. It was so exhilarating to be thrown that high in the air. I touched my toes, and as I was coming down, I didn't realize that I didn't shoot straight up. I actually shooted up on an angle. And when I came down, I missed the whole base group to catch me. And once I hit the floor, I hit the hardwood floor, I was laying there and I was still. That day I was rushed to the emergency room. And when I got to the emergency room, they decided they had to do emergency surgery on me. My arm had been busted at the elbow, it was broken through here, and then my wrist was dislocated. So they did the surgery, I went home, and I cried every day for 8 weeks. I had a cast. I thought my whole cheerleading career was over. I wanted to go to college and cheer, and now all of that was gone. I was so upset, and I thought that my athleticism was gone and I would never cheer again. Have you ever achieved something, and when you set out to do it, you achieve it, and then all of a sudden, all that hard work and everything that you did to get there was taken away from you? How did you feel? Were you in despair like I was? My self-esteem went from here to here. Did your self-esteem almost crash and burn? Now, during those 8 weeks while I was healing and I had my arm in a cast, they eventually put it in a brace because they wanted me to get full range of my arm. If I had not been wearing the brace, I wouldn't be able to straighten out my arm completely. I would be walking around for the rest of my life with my arm bent at a 90-degree angle, and I did not want to do that. And then one day, my therapist, my rehabilitation therapist, told me that if I ever wanted to cheer again, as much as I said that I wanted it to be my career, that I had to do some extra strength exercises. The recovery would be painful, but if I wanted my arm to fully straighten out, I needed to get into some weight training. So I started out with weight training, and let me tell you, the pain, I wanted to quit every day. I was crying every day again. I was just like, you know what? I have 8 weeks to the next basketball game. And I said I would love to be in my uniform and cheering at that game. But I knew it was going to take hard work and determination. And I had to get myself out of that self-pity moment. Did you hear me on that? That self-pity moment where I thought that my life was over because I simply couldn't use my arm. And so I got myself together. I went to rehabilitation on a regular basis and consistently. And then I began my weightlifting program. Week 1, the nurses take off my brace and my arm is limp. It's just hanging there, no movement at all. I can't do anything with it, and it has no muscle tone or anything. So that was the beginning of the process. Week 2, they wanted me to try to write with my right hand, which is the arm that I broke. And so I started to write, and I was crying because it was like writing for the first time, like doing the alphabet in kindergarten. And I was so disappointed that I could barely write. Week 3, they had me squeeze a ball, and I was squeezing the ball. I was getting some strength back. I could see my improvement. It was painful, but now I had some kind of motion with that arm. Week 4, they give me a 2-pound weight. And for anybody who knows how light a 2-pound weight is, for a person who was recovering from breaking an arm, it was the most heaviest thing that I could think of in my life at that point. But it was a start. I was lifting a 2-pound weight. Week 5, I'm finally lifting 5-pound weights. It was hard, but now I have a range of motion. I can move my arm around a little bit. It's still painful, but I'm glad that I'm getting back to my strength. Week 6, I get to go back to school. I'm in a sling, I'm around my friends, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Week 7, I'm cleared to go back to cheerleading practice, but I can't do any stunts. Week 8, I walk into my high school varsity basketball game wearing my cheerleading uniform and cheering with my team. I chose to be happy. I chose to work on my strengths. Those were the things that empowered me. Cheerleading empowered me, and it led me to my journey of high self-esteem. Did you ever have a moment when you were doing something very powerful in your past life, and then when you got to your adult life, you were like, what happened to me? What happened to that person? Did I let this thing affect me so bad that I can't get that empowerment back? Let me help you with that journey. According to Psychology Today, there are 8 steps to improving your self-esteem. Number 1, be mindful. What is the story you tell yourself? By simply becoming aware of our negative self-talk, we begin to distance ourselves from the feelings it brings up. This enables us to identify with them less. Number 2, let's change the story. We all have a narrative or a story we've created about ourselves that shapes our self-perceptions, upon which our core self-image is based. Number 3, avoid falling into the compare and despair rabbit hole. Feelings of low self-worth can negatively affect your mental health as well as other areas of your life, such as work, relationships, and physical health. Just because someone else appears happy on social media or even in person doesn't mean they are happy. Comparisons only lead to negative self-talk, which leads to anxiety and stress. Number 4, you need to channel your inner rock star. Recognize what your strengths are and the feelings of confidence they engender, especially in times of doubt. It's easy to make generalizations when you mess up or fail at something, but reminding yourself of the ways you rock offers a more realistic perspective of yourself. Exercise. This is my favorite one because I've been doing it for a while. Many studies have shown a correlation between exercise and higher self-esteem, as well as improved mental health. Exercising creates empowerment, both physical and mental. Do unto others. Number 6, volunteering to help those who may be less fortunate. Being of service to others helps take you out of your head. When you're able to help someone else, it makes you less focused on your own issues. Number 7, forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Is there someone in your life you haven't forgiven? An ex-partner, a family member, yourself? By holding on to feelings of bitterness or resentment, we keep ourselves stuck in a cycle of negativity. Number 8, remember that you are not your circumstances. Finally, learning to differentiate between your circumstances and who you are is the key to self-worth. We are all born with infinite potential and equal worth as human beings. That we are anything less is a false belief that we have learned over time. Therefore, with hard work and self-compassion, self-destructive thoughts and beliefs can be unlearned. And as for me, that young girl who thought being a cheerleader was everything is now cheering for herself. I'm Deborah Flemming Bradley, and I'm yours in prosperity. Don't forget to follow me on all social media, and if you want to read the full story on this post, go to www.deborahflemmingbradley.com.